Everything changed in a matter of seconds. Literally, blink and you miss the foundation of an entire football empire being poured in the dark. Welcome to NFL Nexus. Now, before we pull back the curtain on this, you're going to want to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, leave a comment, and honestly, become a channel member right now. Join the exclusive Insider Club. Because today, we're diving deep. We are using a massive cinematic lens to uncover the shadowy, incredibly high-stakes reality behind building a modern NFL juggernaut. This explainer isn't about simple stat sheets or Sunday highlights. We're talking boardroom leverage, state legislation, and the brutal, absolute physical grind of the trenches. Let's dive in.
You really have to ask yourself, what is the true cost of a multi-decade dynasty? And I don't mean salary cap space. I mean, what does it actually take to engineer an organization that dominates for 40 years? It's not just about the highlight reels you're watching from your couch. Real off-season moves, they are about leverage. They are about staggering, almost incomprehensible amounts of money, and invisible power. The kinds of moves that dictate the next 4 decades of a franchise, they happen quietly. They happen long, long before the stadium lights ever turn on for a primetime game.
So, the Chicago Bears master plan. It's built on 3 seemingly disconnected pillars, but as you'll say, they all bleed into one massive vision. First, there's the financial maneuvering for 326 acres in Arlington Heights. That's the real estate war. Second, a heavily guarded war room secret that required absolute ice-cold nerves of steel on draft night. And third, the pure, raw physical mass being forged right now in the weight room in the offseason. Financial, strategic, physical. 3 totally different battlegrounds, all feeding into one ultimate goal.
Let's start with the money. Down in Springfield, the Illinois House held a quiet vote, 78-32. The prize? A piece of legislation known as HB 910. Now, on paper, it was branded beautifully. They called it economic development. They called it property tax relief. Sounds great, right? But in practice, out in the real world, it acts as the ultimate billionaire loophole. Here's how it works. Any development investing at least $1 billion, say, I don't know, a sprawling, state-of-the-art domed NFL stadium complex sitting on 326 acres, can literally freeze its property tax assessment at pre-construction levels. And not just for a few years, for up to 45 years. It's a move that makes a mega project financially painless for the franchise.
Now we need to talk about the sheer scale of the numbers here, because it is staggering. $53 million. Let that sink in. $53 million every single year. That is the massive annual property tax bill that the Cook County Treasurer's Office estimated the Bears would owe on a fully developed stadium if they were just playing by normal everyday tax laws. If they built a palace, they'd pay taxes on a palace. That is the true weight of greatness. That's the sticker price of a billion-dollar coliseum.
But then, you have a sudden jarring cut to reality. Because under the top-tier mega-project freeze of HB 910, the entire paradigm shifts. The team doesn't pay taxes on a state-of-the-art NFL stadium. No, they pay taxes based on what the land looked like before a single shovel ever hit the dirt. So instead of $53 million, they owe only about $4 million on that pre-development land value, plus a $10 million negotiated pilot, which stands for payment in lieu of taxes. So you add those up, $14 million total. A massive, sudden drop from $53 million.
Let's microanalyze this table with grueling precision because the devil is absolutely in the details here. Look at the standard law scenario. Post-construction stadium demanding $53 million a year. Now look at the HB 910 loophole. Pre-construction land plus that pilot payment sitting at $14 million. The annual difference, $39 million. That is $39 million that just vanishes from the Bears' ledger every single year. And when you stretch that out over the course of a 40-year mega project freeze, you are looking at a mind-numbing $1.5 billion in property taxes that simply disappear from the franchise's books. $1.5 billion.
So where does that money go? Because the system still needs funding, right? Local governments can still calculate their levies based on the stadium's full value. They just literally cannot collect it from the Bears. The shortfall has to go somewhere, and it gets absorbed by everyday homeowners and small businesses. To put this into perspective, Cook County property taxes have already surged a wild 182% since 1995, totaling $19.2 billion. And you have groups like the Chicago Teachers Union publicly warning that this is a dangerous deal, arguing that it hollows out the exact tax base that public schools depend on. It's a stark contrast. A homeowner renovates a kitchen and their taxes rise. A multi-billion-dollar franchise builds a global entertainment destination and their taxes freeze for nearly half a century.
But you know, there had to be a catch.
To actually pass this kind of heavy legislation, there had to be a massive promise of public relief. The franchise went all in, promoting the creation of tens of thousands of construction jobs, 9,000 permanent jobs, and generating an estimated $60 million in local and state tax revenue. This wasn't just pitched as a stadium. It was sold as an absolute economic engine, a total win for the surrounding community.
Let's obsess over the exact breakdown of that supposed relief for a second. Of those payments in lieu of taxes, exactly 50% must go toward property tax relief. Okay, sounds decent. But then within that half, 60% flows to homeowner rebates in the specific hosting district, and the other 40% goes to a broader statewide fund. But here is the kicker. When the governor's office and the treasurer's office actually sat down and crunched the hard numbers on what those pilot dollars would mean for an individual household, the exact word they used was negligible.
Hal Dardick, the Treasurer's research director, looked at the whole structure and called it exactly what it is, quote, breaks on top of breaks. So how on earth did the Bears actually manage to pull this off? 2 words, ultimate leverage. They publicly started exploring alternative sites in Northwest Indiana. They used the very real, very terrifying threat of franchise relocation to basically put a rocket booster onto this 100-plus page tax overhaul, accelerating it through the legislature. And they didn't stop there. They stacked sales tax exemptions and star bonds right on top of the property tax freeze. It is, frankly, a terrifying masterclass in boardroom execution.
But here's the thing about the NFL. Leverage in the boardroom literally means nothing if you do not have the right talent on the gridiron. So we are pivoting sharply right now. We are leaving the quiet, air-conditioned negotiations of Springfield and stepping directly into the agonizing, high-stakes, sweat-drenched tension of the NFL draft war room.
I want you to really feel the stress in that building on draft night. The Bears desperately needed to plug some massive, glaring holes in their secondary. They had just lost Kevin Byard, Jaquan Brisker, and Jonathan Owens. They needed a safety, badly. So they're watching the board. Pick number 11 comes up, and the Dallas Cowboys snatch top safety prospect Caleb Downs. Boom, gone. The target just vanishes into thin air. What follows next for Chicago is pure, unadulterated psychological torture. From pick 12 all the way down to 24, the front office is sweating through 13 agonizing selections, just praying, hoping the rest of the league stays completely blind to their backup plan. And finally, after what feels like a lifetime, at pick 25, the steal is secured.
Listen to the raw, unfiltered emotion that happens behind closed doors when a gamble like that pays off. The moment that pick was officially in, defensive coordinator Dennis Allen walked straight up to general manager Ryan Poles and told him, point blank, I love this player. Not I like this player, I love this player. I want to linger on that psychological difference for a second. Liking a prospect is a business decision. Loving a prospect, that's how you build a culture. They didn't just draft Dylan Thieneman, the 21-year-old All-American Oregon safety. No, they drafted a violent, high-speed, impact player that their own defensive coordinator is absolutely obsessed with. That is how you build a terrifying defense.
But look, drafting top-tier speed is only part of the equation. Which brings us to the final pillar of this multi-decade master plan, the physical evolution. We are transitioning now into the brutal, unforgiving reality of NFL trench warfare. Because out there, games are not won on paper. They are won and lost in violent collisions of muscle, leverage, and bone.
This is exactly where potential has to become actual, terrifying power. Listen to what Ben Johnson said about defensive end Austin Booker back on May 28th. He said his body's changed since he came in the building a year ago. He continues to add more mass, and they need him to. The Bears seriously struggled to get after the quarterback last season, and with Deo Odeyingbo still recovering from injury, the pressure sitting squarely on Booker's shoulders is immense. Sure, he showed some exciting flashes as a rookie, but let's be real, flashes do not win Super Bowls. Mass does. Pure, unadulterated physical force does. To really understand the microscopic, obsessive details of athletic development, look at this raw physical parallel. On the left side, you have Austin Booker, grinding away in the trenches, trying to add functional weight just to survive getting double-teamed by 300-pound linemen. On the right side, look at the raw physics of Yankees pitching prospect Carlos Lagrange, touching 99.8 miles per hour, over 5.2 innings down in AAA. Whether you are talking about hurling a 100-mile-an-hour fastball or a defensive end trying to convert pure speed into overwhelming power, elite athletic development is all about harnessing raw, terrifying physical force. Booker is locked in that exact crucible right now. And how is that kind of physical strength actually unlocked on a football field? It doesn't happen overnight. It happens in the relentless, invisible, microscopic grind of off-season OTAs. Reps, reps, reps. Like Johnson pointed out, Booker has the raw strength now. His body has changed, but the technique absolutely must catch up. It is a grueling, repetitive, agonizing refinement that happens in the shadows, completely out of sight, long before the cameras ever start rolling for week one.
So let's pull the camera all the way back. Look at the massive, horrifyingly huge scale of what we've uncovered in this explainer today. You have a rookie safety drafted to violently patrol the deep third of the field. You have a second-year defensive end packing on sheer muscle just to collapse the pocket, and hovering over all of it, a billion-dollar, 326-acre stadium insulated by a 40-year tax loophole. It's not a coincidence, it is all connected. It is one massive, highly calculated, decades-long gamble, entirely designed to corner the market on greatness.
When you visually map out this 40-year horizon, you can physically feel the suffocating weight of this timeline. Look at it. 2026. The physical foundation is poured, Thieneman is officially drafted, and the HB 910 loophole completely opens. Move to the 2030s. The stadium megaproject dominates the Chicago skyline. Fast forward to the 2060s, almost half a century from now, that property tax freeze finally comes to an end. We are talking about locked-in, monumental consequences that will outlast the careers and possibly the lifetimes of every single player currently sitting on that roster.
So, as we wrap up, I leave you with this chilling final thought. When the stadium is finally built, when the defense is absolutely terrifying, when the dynasty is officially secured, who really pays the price for greatness? Is it the players, the fans, the city itself? Let us know exactly what you think down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to NFL Nexus and hit that join button to become a member and support the channel. This story is far from over. We'll see you in the next explainer.